Although the French colonial period came to an end long ago, much of French style is still imprinted in the architecture of Hanoi. In 100 years of French colonization, Vietnam did not lose its traditional colour, but absorbed new elements from France. The French colonial construction style took hold in Hanoi more than 200 years ago, in a project to reconstruct Hanoi in a Vaughan architectural style. However, it was not until 1875 when the French style emerged in large numbers. Art Deco and a combination of French architectural styles of Vietnam and China was popular. At that time, French colonial architecture played a crucial role, transforming Hanoi from an obsolescent city of old Eastern construction into a fresh modern city of the time, with Western features. The transformation did not eliminate all elements of Vietnamese architectural culture, but merged with them to create a new style of architecture of name Duong Duong, or Indochina. In particular in Hanoi and Vietnam in general, perhaps they have the most appealing examples of this old combination. Many have become either cultural symbols of Hanoi, or are used as government departments, major state banks, or even as the presidential palace. It has been said that they still exist in this allured city as a tranquil element of memorial Hanoi inside the modern, uproarious and active Hanoi of today.
The origins of the Vietnamese are generally traced to the inhabitants of the Red River Delta between 500 and 200 BC, people who are mixed with Australoid and Mongoloid stock. Like their contemporary descendants, they are largely villagers, skilled in rice cultivation and fishing. Contemporary ethnic Vietnamese live in urban as well as rural areas and are engaged in a variety of occupations, and are represented at all levels on the socio-economic scale. The power elite is dominated by ethnic Vietnamese. Although predominantly Buddhist, the Vietnamese people's religious beliefs and practices nevertheless include remnants of an earlier animalistic faith. A sizable minority is Roman Catholic. Despite some regional and local differences in customs and speech, the people retain a strong sense of ethnic identity that rests on a common language and a shared cultural heritage. Vietnamese, the official language, is the mother tongue of the vast majority of the people and is understood by many national minority members. According to a wide theory accepted, Vietnamese is believed to be related to the Austroasiatic family of languages, which includes various languages, dialects, and subdialects spoken in mainland Southeast Asia, from Burma to Vietnam. Scholarship, nonetheless, is tentative on whether Vietnamese, which was spoken in the Red River Delta long before the Christian era, was influenced by Mon Khmer or Thai, both Austroasiatic subsets. Actually, the Vietnamese language was influenced by more classical Chinese than by any other language. During more than 1,000 years of Chinese rule, and for centuries afterwards, the Chinese language was the officialdom, scholarship and literature. The Chinese language had special status because of its identification with the ruling class of scholar officials. Nevertheless, Vietnamese continued to be the popular language, even though knowledge of Chinese was a prerequisite to government employment and social advancement. The ethnic minorities, except for the Hua, are found mostly in the highlands that cover 2/3 of the national territory. The Hua are the largest minority, are mainly lowlanders. Officially, the ethnic minorities are referred to as national minorities. Living somewhat separately from the dominant ethnic Vietnamese are the numerous minorities. The 1979 census listed 53 minorities, accounting for 12.7% of the national population. The size of each community ranged from fewer than 1,000 to as many as 0.9 million persons, and 10 major groups comprising about 85% of the minority population. Minorities that live in the mountainous regions are known by their generic name Montagnards. The Vietnamese also disparagingly call them Moi, meaning savage. The government attributes the backwardness of the Montagnards to the overwhelming influence of their history as exploited and oppressed peoples. They are darker skinned than their lowland neighbours. The origin of the non-Vietnamese minorities are far from clear. Others, like the Tay, Muang, and Thai, are believed to be related to the lowland natives of Malay stock, who were forced into the highlands by successive invasions of Mongoloid peoples from China. Among these indigenous minorities are the Cham, or Central Vietnam, remnants of a kingdom that ruled the central coast of the country until overrun by the Vietnamese in the 15th century, and the Khmer, whose Cambodian forebears controlled the Mekong Delta region until displaced in the later 18th century by the Vietnamese. The Khmer and the Cham are lowlanders of the south, and are considered, along with the Tay, Muong, and Thai of the north, to be culturally more developed than other minority ethnic groups, but less so than the Vietnamese.
The town of Sapa stands at the head of a deep valley of magnificent rice terraces that are still farmed today as they have been for centuries. Backdrops don't get much more spectacular. Enticing ribbons of road lead the eye down to the valley floor. White water rivers rush among the rice fields, and lush green mountains stretch into the distance as far as the eye can see. Ragged mountain ridges line town views. The first groups to move into the area after earlier inhabitants were the Hmong and Dao peoples. They are still the most prominent of the ethnic minorities in Sapa today. The Gai and Thai people also moved into the mountain range around this time. From 1891 onwards, the entire region was ruled by the French colonizers, who at times sent the military into Sapa to silence any dissent or resistance in what was sensitive area due to its proximity to China. Over the following decades, French civilians and a military garrison moved into Sapa, changing the look of the town in the process. Much of Sapa was destroyed in the hostilities that took place from the end of World War II until 1954. Almost all of its colonial buildings were lost during this period. At the center of Hanoi, Hoan Kiem Lake is the site of many song and dance performances by ethnic communities from the Sapa highlands and beyond. Spurred by a legend from the era of King Luloi, who was given a magical sword by the gods, but then encountered a giant turtle that grabbed the sword to return it to the gods. Ethnic people believe they need to watch out for giant turtles that are thought to still inhabit the lake, and their dancing will keep him at peace. Known as Mission, the group of temple towers that connect to each other with complicated brick designs is evidence of an Asian civilization now extinct. Mission Sanctuary is a large complex of religious relics. Through religious and commercial associations with India, the Champa kingdom quickly developed a strong affinity for Indian culture, borrowing Hinduism and the Sanskrit alphabet, as well as Indian architectural and artistic tastes. Mission was also the political capital, a cultural centre, and was the burial place for Cham monarchs. For many centuries, the Champa kingdom existed as an independent entity. The kingdom endured until the 17th century, when it was absorbed by Vietnam. American bombs reduced many of the towers to ruins, but failed to destroy about 20 still preserved Cham sites. The Champa kingdom was predominantly Hindu. In the temple cities of Mission lie lingams that symbolize both the cult of Shivaism and also of the divine authority of kingship. The Champa temple towers were built on hills, strategic sites to survey the surroundings, from the focus of magic powers, especially suitable for meditation and religious observance. The population of the countryside these days is mainly made up of elders and children. Young people mainly move to the big cities to study, live and work, and mostly settle there rather than come back to their hometowns. Small communities in villages live slow-paced but full daily lives, interacting with each other every day, everywhere. They meet and share life in a daily communion. Close relationships are defined by blood or marriage, maintained through generations and expressed on many special occasions such as weddings, birthdays, festivals and national holidays. There is deep respect for ancestors and religion, as well as for the supernatural forces of fire, lightning, storm, and the mountains themselves. Ancestor worship is active at pagodas and temples on specific dates of the lunar calendar, wishing for health, luck, and success in their families. Hoi An, ancient town, is located in Vietnam's central Quang Nam province, on the north bank near the mouth of the Thu Bon River. It is an exceptionally well-preserved example of a small-scale trading port active from the 15th to 19th centuries, which traded widely both with the countries of Southeast and East Asia and with the rest of the world. Its decline in the later 19th century ensured that it has retained its traditional urban tissue to a remarkable degree. Today, many tourists are attracted to this town by its gentle village appearance. No doubt also by the large number of monastery schoolgirls cycling in their robes around the waterfront. The town reflects a fusion of indigenous and foreign cultures, principally Chinese and Japanese, with later European influences, that combined to produce this unique survival. The town comprises a well-preserved complex of timber frame buildings, which include architectural monuments, commercial and domestic vernacular structures, notably an open market and a ferry quay, and religious buildings such as pagodas and family cult houses. The houses are tiled and the wooden components are carved with traditional motifs. They are arranged side by side in tight unbroken rows along narrow pedestrian streets. The surviving wooden structures and street plan are original and intact, and together present a traditional townscape of the 17th and 18th centuries. totally different atmosphere presents in the large cities of Saigon and particularly Hanoi, with its interminable, busy, noisy, threatening yet survivable traffic. With a bit of practice, the tens of thousands of motorbikes and cycles and scooters are more challengeable and less threatening than the trucks on the open road. Take a breath, close your eyes, and keep going. A few grand houses and colonial mansions have survived the times of Vietnam's wars. Historically with China, but more destructively with the French and later the Americans, in what is called here not the Vietnam War, but the American War. But a large part of Vietnamese city life is on the streets. There are remnants of historic times and glimpses of life to be had throughout Vietnam. Water puppetry is a spectacular event. A tangle of wires is almost artistic. Saigon's intrigue comes mainly from its past. Close by Saigon is the Mekong Delta. There are the Viet Cong tunnels. But what would Ho Chi Minh City be without the Saigon River and its own fateful history? Perhaps Saigon is a place to relax, enjoy, and forget. The Vietnamese nation seems to have moved on from the American War quickly and resiliently, with people in both the North and the South happily selling prints of wartime propaganda posters and even using the era as a theme in cafes. The names Ho Chi Minh City and Saigon are also used interchangeably across the country, with little mention of their origin or the war that changed them. In short, although the background of these names was once a sensitive matter, the two now appear to be synonymous. I don't know what would make you fall in love with Vietnam. Maybe that a woman's voice can drug you, that everything is so intense. The colours, the taste, even the rain. Nothing like the filthy rain at home. They say that whatever you're looking for you will find here. They say you come to Vietnam and you understand a lot in a few minutes, but the rest has got to be lived. The smell, that's the first thing that hits you, promising everything in exchange for your soul. And the heat, your shirt is straight away a rag. You can hardly remember your name, or what you came to escape from, but at night there's a breeze. The river is beautiful. At night. You could be forgiven for thinking there had been no war, that gunshots were fireworks, that only pleasure matters, a pipe of opium, or the touch of a girl who might tell you she loves you. You are the quiet American.